नमस्कार। हम दक्षिण की काशी में हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी के नए तीर्थ तेनकासी में। आज जिस व्यक्तित्व से आपको रूबरू करा रहे हैं, आप तपस्वी हैं, 30 साल से एक अविश्वसनीय सा सपना बुनने में जुटे हैं। उस साधना का फल आज सबके सामने है। त्यागी हैं जो एक बड़ा सपना, दुनिया भर के युवाओं की हसरत, सिलिकॉन वैली को छोड़ने की ताकत रखते हैं। विचारक हैं जो रचनात्मकता और मौलिकता के साथ नई अवधारणा, सिद्धांत और समाधान पेश करते हैं। जुनूनी हैं जो ठान लिया उसे हकीकत में बदलने का मादा रखते हैं। आफताब हैं जो ग्रामीण भारत के युवाओं की ज़िंदगी रोशन करना चाहते हैं, ग्रामीण भारत का जर्रा जर्रा रोशन करना चाहते हैं। उद्यमी यानी एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं जो दुनिया में टेक्नोलॉजी के मंच पर भारत को सबसे आगे रखना चाहते हैं। खाटी हिंदुस्तानी हैं जो नेशन फर्स्ट, राष्ट्र प्रथम जिनका सपना है, जिनका संकल्प है। बेहतरीन इंसान हैं, सीधे सच्चे हैं, संतोषी हैं, परिश्रमी हैं, विनम्र और साहसी भी। डॉक्टर श्रीधर वेम्बू जो उम्मीद की रोशनी है। डॉक्टर वेम्बू, आपका स्वागत है। नमस्कार, वणक्कम।
वणक्कम।
अरट्टई के आगमन के साथ पूरा भारत जोहो और डॉक्टर वेम्बू का उत्साहवर्धन कर रहा है। आपकी अब तक की यात्रा कैसी रही? आप कैसा महसूस कर रहे हैं?
Very blessed. This is I say that our Arattai or Zoho is not just our company. It is this nation's child now.
Yes.
And Bharat's child, and we know we are Bharat Mata's children, and our nation needs this now. I am so glad that we are able to play a small role in this, and we are instruments for this now.
जोहो को बिना वेंचर फंडिंग के एक इंटरनेशनल लेवल तक ले जाना एक रेयर अचीवमेंट है। आपने बूटस्ट्रैप मॉडल को कैसे इतना इफ़ेक्टिव बनाया, क्या चैलेंजेस आए और आगे आप उसको किस तरह देखते हैं?
So the bootstrap model is a little bit slow at first.
Yes.
In fact, the way I say it, you start at -5 year, not 0 year,
Yes.
-5 year. Then maybe you learn business, learn to make mistake, learn, and then you come to the 0 year and then you start. After that, it becomes faster once you learn. Funding model maybe accelerate those 5 years faster. But this way of learning also is lifelong lesson. They stay with you. And the second point I want to mention, this is something very important for our nation, our engineers. Most technology problems, take even Arattai or any of these problems, they require very long-term commitment and focus. Funding model, venture capital today, does not have the long-term. For them, long-term means maybe 5 year, 10 year. But as a good example, to produce a very good jet engine
Yes.
is at least 15 years and maybe 20 years. To produce a very good latest semiconductor fab might be at least 10 year, 15 year journey. Those kind of deep technology work with a long-term commitment, that is not easily possible in a venture capital model.
Right.
It requires a different model of thinking. And not only that, people have to stay committed to this. And the same people have to work together for 10 years to really see any results. And this type of funding models really don't encourage that approach. So that is the difference.
जिस दौर में हैं हम, वैल्यूएशन, देन न्यू वेंचर, देन
Yes.
अनदर वैल्यूएशन,
Exit.
देन एग्जिट, ये अंधी दौड़।
Yes. And the way I've always thought about exit means death.
या वेरी ट्रू। 2025 में आपने CEO का पद से रिजाइन किया। यू आर नाउ चीफ साइंटिस्ट। व्हाई?
So in the last several years, 4-5 years, we see an acceleration in technology due to artificial intelligence. That is becoming a big trend. The predictions are that it is going to transform every industry, including the software industry.
Yes.
No industry will be the same in maybe 5 or 10 years. And we have been working on artificial intelligence technologies for 10 years. but we wanted to accelerate the technology evolution. I also had a personal commitment to work in deep technology. I've always been working in it, but I wanted to dedicate more of my effort. So that is why I stepped to this new role, Chief Scientist. And I dedicate maybe about 75% of my time to technology development now. I am deeply into code now. And that is also immensely satisfying because I'm able to work with engineers. I'm able to work directly on important problems. So that is why I like doing it.
जोहो को आपने माइक्रोसॉफ्ट जैसे दिग्गज के मुकाबले ब्रेड्थ एंड डेप्थ में बेहतर बताया.
Yes.
क्या आप कुछ एग्जांपल्स दे सकते हैं?
For example, we have the full Office suite. We also have cloud storage. We call it Work Drive and email. And our chat product, Zoho Click. And that, in fact, the Zoho Click, we have been around for more than 10 years. Its consumer version is Arattai. So Zoho Click came first, and then Arattai branched from there. The same technologies we use for the consumer version. And the full Office suite, which really very few companies, maybe only 3 companies in the world have that full Office suite now. And then in addition, we have all of the business applications from CRM, accounting software, HR software, all of it. We are also very strongly now entering the ERP market. So this is the breadth and depth I talked about. But it's not only that. We have the full, so there is a saying, the best companies make their own tools, or the best craftsmen make their own tools. We also invest very heavily in the frameworks and tools underneath. Those are becoming, in some sense, businesses of their own. For example, the platform as a service, those type of businesses are possible because all of this is hosted in our own platforms,
Right.
in our own infrastructure. And those also are needed by our nation, all those technologies.
आपने अभी मेड इन इंडिया, मेड फॉर वर्ल्ड को रीशेप किया है. आप इस स्पिरिट को जोहो में कैसे मजबूत कर रहे हैं?
Today, our market is global.
Yes.
Over 90% of business is coming from international customers. And we are seeing Made in India as a brand being widely appreciated around the world. That includes Middle East, that includes Africa, that includes Europe and Latin America, of course North America as well, USA and Canada. Then here on the eastern side, we have a big operation in China and Japan, Australia, in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand. All of these places, we are seeing really good growth now. And the Made in India is a big asset. This has changed. 15 years ago, companies would be reluctant to disclose Made in India. Today, Made in India is a powerful brand. And we are very proud to be, we have had always a Made in India slogan, even when it was not popular. Even when people were advised, hey, don't put Made in India so prominently. But we would insist we'll put Made in India. And now that is becoming popular.
आपने हाल में कहा है कि नई जंग तकनीक से लड़ी जाएगी और इंजीनियर नए योद्धा हैं. टेक्निकल ऑटोनॉमी के लिए एक देश के तौर पर हमें क्या किया जाना चाहिए?
This is a very critical question today. And as I said, all the wars are now technology battles.
Yes.
Your mastery of this or that, and there is 100 separate technologies, maybe 500 separate technologies coming. Everything from material science to lasers to drones to software, of course, artificial intelligence. All of these, jet engines, all of these enter the picture now in terms of capabilities, submarine systems. And this is now quantum encryption, for example. To keep messages secure, quantum encryption. That technology is entering the picture now. This is the kind of thing where our nation needs broad and deep capabilities in, I would estimate, at least about 500 separate areas. And this is important for our national security, national sovereignty, so that nobody else controls us. And that's very important as an independent nation, sovereign nation. And the third is prosperity. Our prosperity depends on mastery of all these technologies. And for that, we have to have a long-term focus. So we need dedicated teams. One thing I have proposed, and when I was in NSAB, I had proposed this idea. In my opinion, all this has to happen in the private sector. Most of it has to happen in the private sector. And what the role the government can play is apply ranking to each of these areas. Identify the areas. For example, we need lasers, or we need jet engines, we need rockets, we need AI. Rank companies annually, conduct competitions, rank them, announce those, give awards to those companies, and also maybe the institutions like LIC can give now loans for expansion for those types of enterprises that rank well. This is something we already do, for example, CBSE or JEE, all of that. To me, those are not as important as these rankings. How do we rank in jet engine technology versus French or Americans or anybody? How do we rank in robotics versus Chinese? Those kinds of rankings have to be published. Then what happens is the companies will vie with each other. That natural competition instinct in the private sector will start to dominate. Then we can come up. Initially, we may not be very good, and we should accept that. If we are not very good against, for example, the Chinese, we accept that. Then every year our ranks improve. In maybe 4 or 5 years, we reach a good level. In 10 years, we might be world class. That is the approach that I am proposing.
आपका एक और ताज़ा बयान चर्चा में है। H1B वीज़ा विवाद के बाद आपने आह्वान किया कि आओ घर लौट चलें। AI और सॉफ्टवेयर में हम क्या नया क्रिएट कर सकते हैं तो जिन वैज्ञानिकों को हम वापस घर लाना चाह रहे हैं उन्हें हम बेहतर अवसर उपलब्ध करा पाएँ।
Today, if you look at AI, for example, you look at ChatGPT, any of the systems, they still are not 100% reliable. For example, you ask it to give you an essay, it can contain mistakes. For the business world, it cannot have mistakes. For example, if you are a chartered accountant, you want to rely on AI, it cannot make mistakes. If you are a lawyer, you want to depend on AI, you cannot make mistakes. So that is why in the business world that it is still, there are still issues in adopting it. Same way with software. AI can generate a lot of code, but the code can contain mistakes. Sometimes really critical mistakes like security mistakes can expose data. That requires a lot of research and development to address this problem. I am working on how to combine AI with reliability, and that's an area of research. There's a lot of companies are doing it. We are doing our own unique innovations in that area.
आपने ये भी कहा कि GPS, ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, चैट GPT बाहर की तकनीक हैं, सब खतरनाक हैं। हम कैसे भरोसेमंद तकनीक बना सकते हैं? हमारी अप्रोच क्या होनी चाहिए?
So first of all, you cannot be a new company with 5 people and say I'll create an operating system. The challenge is very hard. It's exactly like saying a new company saying I'll create a jet engine. Again, the challenge is hard. But there is enough companies with substantial profits, substantial employee base, substantial assets. They have to have, every company now, every major company has to have a strong R&D division. It's not just in their commercial interest, it's in the national interest. So I've in fact, I've proposed to the government that maybe there's some kind of like CSR obligation. There might be an R&D investment required because our investment in R&D as a nation is very low. That's something understood already. Private sector must fix it. And the way I would do it is you set up strong teams and then trust them to make progress. So you already select some good people, give them the freedom and say, here's the problem we have to solve. Those people have to have a commitment and passion. Like I want to solve the robotics problem. I want to solve the compiler problem. Or I want to solve this jet engine problem, like that. And then every year you have some reviews. Maybe every 6 months, 1 year, you do reviews. Then we can assess the progress. We can have even independent experts evaluating the progress. Are we making progress towards our goals? Then we continue. This kind of investment is not very high in terms of monetary. For example, I always say R&D is not expensive, but it is time intensive. So, for example, even 100 crore per year, which is not a big sum of money for a leading corporate house, can get you a good amount of R&D, but it has to be sustained over a 5-10 year period to produce meaningful results.
कई मंत्रियों ने जो टूल्स अपना लिए हैं, हम कैसे सरकारी और प्राइवेट सेक्टर में इस देशी टेक्निक को इंट्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, कैसे उसको एक लेवल तक ले जा सकते हैं?
To go back, NIC, or National Informatics Center, had conducted a competition evaluation more than 2.5 years ago. That lasted about a year and a half, nearly 2 years. And then they selected Zoho from the competition. And stringent evaluation, and maybe about 15, 20 audits happened from security audit, this audit, source audit, a lot of things happened. After that, they selected Zoho. So it is already, that was announced more than a year and a half ago, if I don't remember exactly when, but it was announced. So the government has already been using more than 1 million, maybe 1.5 million, 15 lakh mailboxes were in Zoho. And what Ashwini Vaishnavji recently announced is to expand that and also use the Office suite. And that is already deployed. This the interesting part of that is these are separately deployed in Delhi in a separate government-specific data center. This is data that Zoho will not. See, Zoho is not managing. The government is managing the data. We provide the software. It is deployed in the government. So now we are expanding this to use the Office suite and storage and other applications, including meeting, Click, for example, the meeting software, all of it, and the work drive, all of it, along with the email. So that is what he announced.
इसी से एक और जुड़ा हुआ सवाल है, आप राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा सलाहकार बोर्ड में रहे, उसमें आपकी क्या भूमिका रही?
The NSAB, National Security Advisory Board. I was there for 2 years. My term has ended now. And my role was to create awareness of the technology requirements we need to be really good at. The same topics I talked about, these were the ones that I was. First job is to create awareness among all the decision makers. Because these technologies can be so complex. Sometimes only when a crisis occurs, you know that this particular technology is needed. Like a good example is recently permanent magnets. What happened? Our entire electric vehicle ecosystem was affected because China was refusing to give us permanent magnets. Very coincidentally, about 2 years ago, one of my fellow NSAB members, Anshuman Tripathi, he brought up this issue and he had identified this as a potential weakness for us. He had already identified that permanent magnet. So that is the role of NSAB, really to see it ahead of time. And because this is, normally you don't think of these issues, but somebody has to be paying attention. So that is the role.
आप सिलिकॉन वैली छोड़ा, तमिलनाडु के अपने एक छोटे से गांव में आपने अपना नया वेंचर स्टार्ट किया, क्या इसके पीछे इंस्पिरेशन थी?
Two things. First, today, if you look at our nation, still the majority of population is rural. Even bigger majority of children are rural. Because urban India, even if urban population may be all over India might be 30%, in Tamil Nadu it is about 50%. But the number of kids born is more rural than urban. So if you are looking at youthful next generation that's born in rural areas, this is true all over Bharat. So if our industry thrives on talent, we need talent. And even if you go to Bangalore, you go to Noida, you go to Chennai, wherever, you see where the talent is coming from, they will be coming from small towns, villages, and they migrate there. So my mission was, how do we avoid that migration? How do we keep people in their local areas? And the benefit of that is the income flows to the community as a whole.
Right.
If there is one good job here, it supports the whole family, the extended area. If the same job, same income goes to Bangalore or Delhi, it doesn't necessarily reach this community. And it gets spent there.
Very true, yeah.
And these places need the money. There is, for example, every one of our people here, they will support their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, their parents. That whole family, extended family benefits. In our family system, I cannot be rich without supporting my family members. That is what I want to root that idea, because the families are so important. So if people are moving away, they move away from families, all of those connections get lost. So the related second goal is we have to nurture the roots of our civilization. Mahatma Gandhiji said, Bharat's soul is in our villages or gawns, and that is true. I have experienced it by living here. Last 6 years I have lived here.
Great.
I know Gandhiji's statement is true.
शायद इसीलिए आप पॉपुलेशन डिविडेंड की बात करते हैं. आप जिस संदर्भ में पॉपुलेशन डिविडेंड की बात करते हैं, क्या है ये?
There is a lot of talent pouring out of our schools. See, in the last 30-40 years, definitely schooling has improved everywhere. We have now more kids going to school finishing school, all that. But the primary challenge is jobs. And to create jobs, we need to create capabilities, skills. Once again, I believe only private sector can do this job well. Just like in R&D, skill development, private sector has to invest. And we have demonstrated that you can do this well in one district level. We are repeating it in 2 or 3 districts. We also want to take it to other districts in India. And this is something your readers may not be aware. In Balia district in UP in Karnai village, we actually have teamed up with Dr. Vijay Tiwari to support the DSET public school. And in Karnai village, we want to actually take the talent pool there and also direct it towards some productive investments there as well, including maybe software and manufacturing, all of that. We are thinking about those right now.
आपके जो दोनों एजुकेशन के प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, जोहो स्कूल ऑफ लर्निंग एंड कलेवानी कलिविमय्यम, ये जो मौजूदा रूरल एजुकेशन सिस्टम है, उसमें क्या नया ऐड कर रहे हैं, किस तरह उसमें पॉजिटिव अप्रोच को इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं?
First, I'll come to what is Zoho School of Learning. That takes students who finished schooling, +2, and it's an alternative to college education. Even though it says Zoho School of Learning, it's really alternative to college. We provide these selected students a stipend. Majority of them come from local villages. Majority of them Tamil medium here. We take local language medium students. And within about 1 year, they become really good in software development. Or sometimes we also train them in design. And some of the students are trained in business, communication, marketing, all of that. They become quite good within about a year because the training is very experiential. We use the 3 words: experiential, contextual, and relevant. These 3 words are very critical to this. There are no examinations. There are no grades. You build projects. So you start building websites, then you start building games, then you start building databases. So like that, you keep on building and they learn. I strongly believe our entire technical education in this country should be reoriented towards building things. Today, our colleges, even engineering colleges, emphasize examinations and grades too much. That's not producing skills, and I believe we should reorient it towards building things. That's what engineering should be. That is the Zoho schools of learning. The Kalaivani Kalvimayam is a K-12 from kindergarten to +2. It has adopted the NIOS, the National Institute of Open Schooling curriculum, which is equivalent to NCERT. It's an equivalent to CBSE by the Act of Parliament. That curriculum is very interesting. Originally, it was intended for maybe people who want to homeschool their children. We have taken that and we are using it for rural children. And the way it benefits us is, one big benefit is, take for example the 10th class, we can make them pass over 2 or 3 years rather than 1 year. So I can take 2 examinations now, only mathematics, maybe Tamil. Next year I'll take 2 more subjects. Next year I'll take 1 subject. Without failing any subject, they can pass. This is the speciality of the NIO system. And meanwhile, maybe only 2 subjects they'll write. They'll be learning practical skills. So this way they get to spend more time. They may take longer to graduate, but they also have some skills now. They're more confident. And a lot of our children love this approach. And they can also, for example, we let them, because rural children, many of them coming from very poor backgrounds, they will say, their parents will say, 1 year I'm going to send him to work because we don't have any money, we have debts. So they may drop out for 1 year. We say, come back. We have had children who come back like that. They take 6 months off, 1 year off, come back. We admit again. Then they can take 1 exam next year. They have passed 2 exams, they take 1 exam. So there is no dropout now. They finish eventually. Even if they are 21, by the time they finish, they finish. That gives them later options in life. Yeah. Maybe they can later study something, right? This is the approach. This is why we love NIOS. Alongside it, we also are emphasizing the skill development, workshops, all of that. You can see it, the workshops running. These are also important. For example, we like to say a 10th or 12th class student should be able to, understand their scooter, motorcycle, all of that, fans, all of that, so that they are not afraid of technology. It's not just computer and software, but even things like fans, motorcycles, refrigerator, the technologies inside they must understand. That's something we emphasize, very hands-on.
क्या यह रूरल टैलेंट पूल का आपका मॉडल स्केलेबल है? बाकी कंपनियों को इस क्षेत्र में क्या करना चाहिए?
It is very scalable in the sense, I'll give you the numbers. Our goal as our company to dedicate about 1% of our revenue to this initiative. We estimate if we can do that, we can support about 15 to 20,000 rural children in this program. We only have about 350, 400. In fact, by the end of this year, we'll expand it to about 1,000 children. By end of this year, yes. But we want, with our current size, we want to go to 15,000. We are only one company. If many companies adopt this approach, we can serve actually millions of kids, particularly rural kids. And what is amazing is this talent pool we create, later they enter the workforce, the productivity will be higher. And I'll give this type of an equation. We are taking a raw rural talent, which may not have opportunity, converting into world-class talent that promotes their income, the community income, and our GDP, national economy.
एक तरफ है NIOS मॉडल, एक ट्रेडिशनल वे ऑफ टीचिंग.
Yes.
इंटरचेंज हो सकता है मॉडल?
Yes. There are some subjects, like if you have to learn English or Tamil, you have to pass an exam. So there will be some amount of classroom, all that going on. But things like motorcycle, there is professional courses also available, the vocational courses available in NIOS. That we have the workshops for. But they come back and want to learn physics. They have to go through the mathematical calculations, all of that. So we can actually do this back and forth. And there is no pressure that they have to finish every exam this year. They can postpone and say, I'll take physics next year. That's the option we want to offer.
रूरल टेक्नोलॉजिकल सर्विसेज जो जिस तरह से आप प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, क्या ये इंडियन इकोनॉमी का नक्शा बदल सकता है?
I can talk about this district, Tenkasi district. We did a survey about a year and a half ago, economic survey. We found that in the last 6-7 years, after our activity expanded here in a big way, the income for people who are not in technology, people who are shopkeepers, people who are auto rickshaw drivers, their incomes have gone up substantially. But they get more customers. There is more money flow within the area. More people are spending money, therefore more shops are coming up, better shops are coming up, all of that. So these are all creating jobs outside of even the Zoho ecosystem. So the overall economic impact within one region is already measurable. We have to repeat this across all our districts. So this is why I call our approach as district-driven development as opposed to Delhi-driven development.
आप चाहते हैं कि जो भारत के गांव हैं वो टेक्नोलॉजिकल रिवॉल्यूशन का सेंटर बने. जो हमारा अभी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का लेवल है, क्या ये सपोर्ट करता है सर?
Yes. So in this village, it's narrow roads, but still the roads are now there. 15-20 years ago, these were mud roads, only mud, dirt roads. Now we have proper asphalt road. So in some places it's poor, but mostly it has gotten better. Most critically, the electricity is good. Mostly electricity is available. Broadband connection is available. So we get 250 megabit per second broadband connection. So we have engineers, about 35 engineers working here in this remote place, producing some innovative products in the electromechanical area. This was not possible even 15 years ago. Now with all the broadband, all of that, it is possible to do the same work here that you are doing in Bangalore. And we have also assembled a team, so there is teamwork. Nobody is alone. There is about 30-40 people who are working together in this remote village.
जोहो स्कूल ऑफ लर्निंग में आप इकोनॉमिकल वीकर सेक्शंस के बच्चों को प्रोग्रामिंग के मॉडल्स सिखा रहे हैं, उन्हें एक नई स्किल्स को इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं. बाकी जो इंडस्ट्रीज हैं उनमें हम इस मॉडल को कैसे फॉलो कर सकते हैं?
Every industry, ultimately they can train the skills they need, in my opinion, about 1 year after school. That is sufficient for most industry to teach the skills relevant to their industry. Clearly, that person will be an entry level staff, but then the continuous learning happens on the job. This is true in any profession. For example, you don't become immediately a very good top lawyer. You become as an apprentice lawyer, a junior lawyer, and then you become a senior lawyer. Same thing with accountants, same thing with journalists. So 1 year is the base, and then they can enter the profession at the junior level, and then they learn step by step. We have now more than nearly about 2,000 examples of this process spread out over many years, last 2 decades. So we are very confident in this approach to learning now.
रूरल एरियाज़ में आपने मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इकोसिस्टम की भी बात की है, तो कैसे कोऑर्डिनेट कर सकते हैं रूरल इकोनॉमी प्लस टेक्निक?
So first we need this. In this we can learn from the early days of China's economic reforms. When you go back to, I have studied a lot of Chinese history. In 1980, 81, 82, China's economic reform primarily consisted of rural, what they call town and village enterprise, where they started small scale manufacturing, household goods, from ceiling fans to all of these, manufactured in rural areas. Today that can be done even more effectively because the machinery available is available very cheaply, often from China itself. So my recommendation is we import the technology needed for production, set up manufacturing facilities, train our workforce. So we run a manufacturing enterprise called Karuvi, the power tools. Yes. Karuvi in Tamil means instrument.
We have seen this.
And that is to create the power tools. The manufacturing equipment will sometimes come from China. But later on we can have engineers working on the manufacturing, automation, all of that too. But the first goal is to produce the finished product using our own labor.
आपने अराटाई एक नया रिवॉल्यूशन इंट्रोड्यूस किया जो लो बैंडविड्थ में, लो एंड फोन्स में इफेक्टिवली चल सकता है. व्हाट इज आइडिया बिहाइंड इट?
सो दिस टेक्नोलॉजी, मैसेजिंग, इंस्टेंट मैसेजिंग,
इट इज अराटाई.
Arattai in Tamil means
gupshup.
Chit chat, gupshup.
Yeah.
Chit chat.
Type of chopal.
Yes. Yeah. Fun chat.
Chat.
So not serious.
Yeah.
So we wanted to create the not serious image for the product, and
but product is serious.
Product is serious.
Yeah.
But its purpose is fun chat because youth, right? And that is why we created the name. And now the name is resonating. People are learning. So it's Arattai. People learning how to pronounce it. I think it will become popular. That is my feeling. And the reason is the technology is behind it. The voice calling, the video, low bandwidth optimization, scaling to say 50 crore, 100 crore type of users. That is very sophisticated. That is very serious. That requires a lot of research and development. The second reason is all of this data is what can enhance our language understanding capability. For example, maybe you speak in Hindi, I hear it in Tamil. Those capabilities can only be built if we have all of these people talking to each other. Then with their permission, we say, okay, can we train an AI agent to translate you? That data is needed. Today, Bharat does not have that data. It is all collected by WhatsApp and everybody else. We need to maintain the data here. That is also the reason it's important. Because data is the new oil.
Yes.
We should not lose our data to foreign enterprises.
जो लोग ड्राइंग रूम में रिवॉल्यूशन करना चाहते हैं, दे आर सजेस्टिंग कि अराटाई नाम चेंज कर दो. आप उसको कैसे देखते हैं?
Sir, we use foreign product like Xiaomi.
Yeah.
People understand.
People use them Xiaomi, Xiaomi.
Yes. So even our rural people learn to pronounce.
Yes.
Even here you go in Tenkasi, you'll see Xiaomi, they'll say. So Arattai people can learn.
Yes.
It is easy.
It is easy.
Easy.
और मुझे लगता है कि एक नयापन है इसमें. और कम से कम जहाँ से हम आते हैं नॉर्दर्न इंडिया में, वहाँ एक पुल का भी काम कर रहा है. तो
in fact, I'll give you one news item. We are planning a fun marketing campaign. We say, from the place dosa and idli came, Arattai comes.
Yeah. बहुत ही बढ़िया.
We'll say it in Hindi also. Dosa, idli, Arattai.
Yes. वो अपने पूरे बैंडविड्थ पे ये कब तक शुरू हो जाएगा? आप एआई को भी इंट्रोड्यूस करने की बात कर रहे हैं, ये पूरा प्रोसेस कब तक एक कंप्लीट प्रोडक्ट बन जाएगा? ये
in this case, the complete product has been at least 10 plus years work, hard work. And some of the technologies go back 15 years. Because see, today that is the challenge of all this technology. The product may appear simple, but the technology behind it is hard. This is true for a lot of technology. In fact, why take Arattai? Take our common nail cutter. You go to any place in India, any small town. You can go to Kadayam here, small town. You can buy a nail cutter. It will say made in China,
yes,
or sometime made in Korea. And you ask why that is so? Because it is not so simple a product. The metallurgy, it has to hold the sharpness. Otherwise, it won't cut. In fact, if you buy the Chinese versus the Korean, you can find some small difference in the quality. The metallurgy is so important. Unless you master the metallurgy, you cannot make that product. But it is not just stop with the nail cutter, scissors that they use in haircutting salons.
yes.
From there, it goes to dental instruments. When you go to dentist, the same metallurgy is involved. So any such technology, we think initially nail cutter, simple product, but the metallurgy is complex. That metallurgy then goes into dental instrument, and the advanced metallurgy is involved in defense, national security. So it is that capability to produce that metallurgy is important. And what really makes me sad is we have the iron pillar in Delhi that has been standing for 1,500 years. So our nation knew metallurgy. That is standing still in spite of all the cannon fire, all of that, without rust standing. 1,500 years. We could do that metallurgy then. Why cannot we do it now?
Yes.
That is the question.
मैं इसको दूसरी तरह से भी देखता हूँ. मुझे लगता है कि जब आप फॉरेन प्रोडक्ट लाते हैं तो आप एक तरह से एक कल्चरल इन्वेजन भी उसके साथ आता है, और आप इंडियन कल्चर की, इंडियन ट्रेडिशन की बहुत ही स्ट्रांगली आप उसको फॉलो करते हैं. तो जोहो के पीछे ये भी एक फोर्स थी जोहो को इंट्रोड्यूस करने के लिए, और इस रिमोट विलेज में आपने इसको शुरू किया.
I look at the essence of our culture with two words, humility and contentment.
Yes.
We are the nation, we are the civilization that has to teach the world contentment. That there is the saying of enough.
Yeah, Santoshi Sada
Santoshi, yes.
Sada Sukhi.
Yes, yes. This is important today because climate change. Maybe the human race is going to destroy itself through overconsumption. That comes from greed. Not just want, but greed. We want more and more and more, infinitely more. That, unfortunately, is today the trap of the materialistic civilizations all over the world, particularly the West.
Yes.
And they even think more and more is better. There is no concept of that contentment. In traditional Western material civilization, the word contentment itself will have a negative meaning. That means that somehow you have lost the race of life. That's the idea. Only our civilization, our ancients, our rishis, they taught us all of this. Today we need to be technologically self-sufficient nation. At the same time, you have to practice a contented way of life. To me, that is only possible in our nation. And our nation has to be the teacher, the guru of the world to spread this message everywhere. So that is, to me, that's a civilizational task ahead of all of us.
मुझे लगता है कि ये जो आप जिसकी बात कर रहे हैं, ये टीचिंग आपको अपनी मदर के थ्रू मिली. आप मदर अर्थ की भी उतनी ही चिंता कर रहे हैं. कैसे इस दौर में जहाँ एक अंधी दौड़ है और एक तरफ टेक्नोलॉजी का प्रेशर है, दोनों में कैसे कोऑर्डिनेशन और समन्वय बन सकता है?
There is sustainable technology today. For example, today we look at water in this form. We have made a promise to ourselves and promise to Mother Earth. We will not rely on deep borewell technology. We will only use surface water for agriculture. That means that we are digging more ponds, we are retaining more water so that we don't have to dig deep borewell. And we have been successful so far. And we are digging more ponds so that when the rainy season comes, we store more water here. In fact, if we'll go back to our old traditional kings, they devoted about 10 to 15% of the land area to water. And that's why now our government, central government has the Jal Shakti mission. So the water is such an important, vital thing for life now. Conserving water, all of this requires technology now. Mapping out hydrological resources, even flooding in our cities, Bangalore or Delhi, all of that because we are taking away the natural water flows. That require technology to map. So we have to be both highly technology sophisticated but very nature connected. To me, it's also a source of jobs. For example, I believe personally, our manufacturing might be highly automated. But where will jobs go? Soil expert. See, I don't call them farmer. I say you are a soil expert.
Yes.
You are a water expert. You are a plant expert. You are an animal expert, cow expert. Then they get more dignity of labor and they get better pay. And that the pay, real pay, is coming from technology automation too.
आपने AI लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल्स के सॉफ्टवेयर जॉब पे इम्पैक्ट की बात की है। जोहो इस AI की युग में अपने स्टाफर्स को, अपने इंजीनियर्स को कैसे ट्रेन कर रहा है?
We have a very good capabilities now. We have developed our own models. They are now the 7 billion, 8 billion parameter. We are also doing 70 billion parameter. The big models are 700 billion, 1 trillion parameter range. We are at about 70 billion. We have developed good capabilities right now. We are also working with Sarvam AI and others to work on larger domestic models, our own training, all of that. And one big threat AI poses, potential challenge, is what happens to software jobs due to AI. That's something that I have said that I will not expect growth purely in software jobs. I'll give you the analogy. Till the advent of AI, the software is hand woven. It's like weaving job. You are hand crafting software. Today with AI, you have machine looms, powerful machines that weave the software. This could pose a challenge. My response to that is we have to also build the machines themselves. So we are doing some of that. We are building the machines that build the software.
अभी चाइनीज़ मॉडल की बात की, आप जब हम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इकोसिस्टम की बात करते हैं तो सरकार से क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन है? सरकार को क्या पॉलिसी में चेंज करना चाहिए?
So one policy change I would like is at the local level, still getting approvals. For example, you take 1 acre of land, you want to create a factory. The number of steps required, we can cut down. Yes.
Yeah, it's still red tapeism is a big issue.
Big issue.
Yeah.
Particularly the local approvals, all of that. This particularly it doesn't affect a large enterprise, but it affects the small entrepreneur.
Yes.
If I want to put up a small factory, I face a lot of that. This has to be, we have to address this somehow because it's important because it prevents a small entrepreneur. The small entrepreneur is very critical for job creation. So that's one. The second is we also have to have a trade policy, external policy that encourages capital goods, machinery, but discourages consumer goods. So we want to make consumer goods ourselves, but we can import capital goods, machinery. That distinction has to be made. Those are the two things.
Yeah. आपने अभी स्लैक की प्राइसिंग पॉलिसी पे क्वेश्चन उठाया था, आपने उसके लिए जोहो क्लिक को प्रमोट किया। जोहो अपने प्रोडक्ट्स को इतना इजी, किफ़ायती और अप्रोचेबल कैसे बनाता है?
These are Zoho technologies as opposed to Arattai. Zoho is primarily intended for the business use case. Now we are creating packages for families, all of that too. And once you are in the realm of business, in the business world, you need a lot of application. You need accounting software, you need CRM software, you need marketing software, and you need document specialists, every kind of thing. And so HR, for example, HR includes payroll, managing regulatory compliance, all of that is required. And that is where all the complexity comes. We are investing in the training ecosystem, partner ecosystem. So for example, a lot of chartered accountants are our partners to train end users. That's how we are spreading it now.
आपने अभी अमेरिकन इकोनॉमिस्ट को मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर को इग्नोर करने के लिए आलोचना की है। जब हम इसे भारतीय संदर्भ में देखते हैं तो भारत सरकार को क्या करना चाहिए?
This as a question is very relevant. Today in America, particularly in the last few months, the push is they have to get all the manufacturing back. Then the key question is, why did they lose it? Why did they lose all the manufacturing? And it is clear that increasingly the finance dominated economy, Wall Street, financial dominated economy, slowly the manufacturing goes away. And the bubble economy created this environment. And unfortunately, in India, for several years, in a similar thought, we were too influenced by the American trained economists and their advice, in some cases specifically saying, don't focus on manufacturing, focus on services. I consider it very bad advice. We have to have the technologies manufacturing here, right here. And that is, so the same advice that America lost manufacturing, that prevented us from gaining manufacturing. They had it and lost it. In our case, we didn't even gain it. Today, they are waking up. We are also waking up. It is very clear that we have to promote manufacturing on a big scale here. Which is why I said earlier, we must make sure all the consumer goods are made here. We must import the capital goods necessary at first. Later on, we can also make the capital goods and all the technologies. That's how I'll sequence this. And this will create mass employment, particularly in rural areas. And there's one more thing here. This is where we can innovate. We can lower the cost of capital goods dramatically. The consumer goods and then the capital goods, factory goods. Through R&D, we can lower the cost of capital goods. If we do that, we can promote industry in even smaller towns where the cost of capital goods is lower, so I can set up factory anywhere. So those kind of ideas are what I would like our government to also pursue and encourage.
आपने एक और वर्ड कॉइन किया है, धार्मिक कैपिटलिज्म. What is धार्मिक कैपिटलिज्म?
My mentor Gurumurthy ji, Sri Gurumurthy ji taught me. He defines Vaishya Dharma. There's a Dharma of the Vyapar.
Yes.
And he says capitalism, the Western capitalism is Vaishya Dharma minus the Dharma. You take out the Dharma part. So that's where the Dharmic capitalism, that's why we have to introduce Dharma into this. So that is Dharmic capitalism. What is the idea here? In fact, I give this example often. What is the purpose of wealth ultimately? Why should somebody become wealthy at all? To me, the core of our civilization is that the wealth is used to do good for the common public. And
good for the society.
Society.
Yeah.
And they are endowed by kings, merchants, all of that. And if you look at temples, you look at Chatram, we call it the Chautri. All of those were endowed by pilgrimage centers and food distribution centers. All of this, the Kalyan Mandapams, all of that were endowed hospitals. These were all endowed by wealthy people. And of course, educational institutions are a large scale. I myself studied, I'll give you in Chennai example. I studied in a school, my 10th and 12th class, I finished in a school called Jayagopal Garodia National Higher Secondary School. Mr. Jayagopal Garodia
is from Rajasthan?
Yes, Rajasthan.
Yeah. From Churu?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was a very prominent businessman in Chennai.
Yes.
He supported a lot of schools with his wealth. I am a beneficiary of that. I benefited from his generosity. Yes. My school did not have buildings at all. We had only we had to sit on the floor kind of school. He endowed, and the buildings, all that came up because of his the philanthropic effort he made, and I benefited from it as a young kid. So it is my duty to support with our wealth a lot of such kids. So that is to me Dharmic capitalism. So Jayagopal Garodia ji was a Dharmic capitalist. To me, he has given me a role model to emulate.
Cultural revival की बात करते हैं आप. Cultural revival with technique or with technology. Is it possible? इस दौर में क्या संभव है ये?
Yes. See, we are a civilization that puts everything to good use. And any tool can be used for good or bad. Software is a tool, computer is a tool. And the civilizational values dictate how you use it. To me, I am confident in the roots of our civilization that we will put it for good use. Just this morning, a priest in a temple called me from Kanchipuram. He called me and said, he is 73-year-old. He told me, I have an idea for you. He said, you are good with software. Please produce a game for young children where they play game and they learn our
Indian culture,
Indian culture, yes. All of that through games.
Yeah.
He suggested some ideas. You recite this shloka, then that door will open, they can play more game. Like that. He gave me some ideas like
What
that.
What a idea.
Yes. This is an intelligent use of technology.
Yes.
We are a civilization that has always used it. I mean, take Carnatic music.
Yes.
We use instruments like the violin, all of this, even the saxophone. We put it to very good use. When you hear the saxophone Carnatic music, it is as though it is intended for Carnatic music. So we are a country that is able to absorb all the influence and produce some better result with it. So I am confident we will use all this technology to produce something that is a world precious asset.
डॉक्टर वेम्बू, पर मैं उनके विचार के पक्ष में हूं, क्योंकि जिस तरह के जाल में हमारी नई पीढ़ी फंस रही है, जिस तरह के वीडियो गेम्स बनाए जा रहे हैं, वो सब एक बीमार समाज का निर्माण कर रहे हैं. कम से कम एक स्वस्थ समाज तो नहीं बना रहे.
But we can apply technology for good cause. That's why those of us in technology have to dedicate ourselves to these problems too.
आपने जोहो में जहां निवेश किया है, तो मैनुअल स्कैवेंजिंग के आपने वो किया है. It's a great cause.
Gen Robotics.
Yeah, Gen Robotics. Yes. It's a great cause. इसका इंस्पिरेशन आपको कहाँ से मिला?
It is a Gen Robotics team that did this. We are investors, so I should not claim credit. Those engineers working hard there, those founders, they deserve the credit. And the inspiration really is that nationwide this is a scourge. Human beings should not have to do this. It is dangerous too. Every month, every 2 months, we read news of somebody getting killed because of this. So this is a mission for them to solve the problem. I'm glad to say they have now hundreds of installations. It's spreading all over the nation. It's a very strong team. They are also the same kind of technology they're applying for other users now, including for defense purposes.
एक ग्रामीण उद्यमी यानी रूरल एंटरप्रेन्योर के तौर पर ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था की मजबूती के लिए आपका मॉडल बेहतरीन है. ये बेसिक आइडिया आपको कब आया कि मुझे ये करना चाहिए, जिसने आपको सिलिकॉन वैली छोड़ने और इस रिमोट विलेज में आने के लिए इंस्पायर किया?
I love living here. That's my foundation is, this is my life. This is where I want to be. So this morning you saw the traffic jam with buffaloes, and because of the harvest season there were tractors going around. That's a good traffic jam. Right? In fact, often when I go to the village, sometimes I have to wait because there's a big buffalo herd crossing. I'll wait 1 minute and watch the scenery 2 minutes, enjoy it and then go. That's a good traffic jam. In fact, I take my electric auto and go for a ride and I enjoy all the scenery. This is a good life. Sir. This is a very good life. I want to preserve these areas. I want to make them economically viable. Yes. The problem in these villages is jobs, alcohol addiction, and then the loan sharking, excessive interest rate, 5-6% a month, all that. The solution is economic development. Economic development while retaining our roots as a culture, as a civilization, and also preserving our nature so that we can all enjoy this. So that is my goal. And second is today food. See, food is medicine. What we eat is we become. And we have to pay, all of us, educated people, everyone has to pay attention. Where is the food coming from? Who is producing the food? How are they treated? If farmers are not treated well, we will not have good health. So that is another reason why I want to spread. Because rural areas, they produce our food. Are they treated well? Are they living well? That's an important question.
प्राइम मिनिस्टर लगभग रोज आत्मनिर्भर भारत की बात करते हैं, स्वदेशी की बात करते हैं. इस देश को जहाँ पे आप वापस इसका जो एक गौरवशाली दर्जा था वो दिलवाने के लिए भी एक अलग आप लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. अपने तरह से उसमें अपना एक कंट्रीब्यूशन दे रहे हैं. सिंगल वर्ड में आप या सिंगल सेंटेंस में डिफाइन करना चाहें तो हिंदुस्तान की सबसे बड़ी ताकत क्या है, हिंदुस्तान के लिए सबसे बड़े चैलेंजेस क्या हैं, हिंदुस्तान के लिए सबसे बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ क्या हैं?
If you look at our biggest opportunity, is our youthful demographic, that dividend we talk, the passionate youth coming out. And at the same time, the challenge is how do we make good use of them for the national development. And this has to be again solved from, so my single word I say, bottom-up development, not top-down development. We have to think of development from bottom-up. That's why I say the village level to district level, district-driven development. That's the way I would summarize the whole vision. And I strongly believe it can be done. We can do this. The evidence is we are producing some very sophisticated technology from these remote places. People would not have thought it's possible. I am saying it is very much possible. It requires patience, the 5-10 year cycle, but it can be done. In fact, I want to show this from one place in UP. Demonstrate the same exact thing. Then I think it will spread nationwide.
Yeah.
So that's my mission.
हर आदमी, हर यंगस्टर श्रीधर वेम्बू नहीं बन सकता, लेकिन जो आपको फॉलो करना चाहता है, जो आपकी लीग पर चलना चाहता है, उसके लिए आपका क्या मैसेज है?
Stay committed to a long-term mission. Have a conviction, believe. Stay committed to your vision. On the execution, day to day, you can vary around. But your vision has to be unwavering. Then you will reach that goal.
थैंक यू.
Thank you.
बहुत आपका धन्यवाद, आपने समय दिया. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.